Look at yourself. That's how you start to improve. That's how you begin to progress. But hey, I look at myself every day in the mirror. Where's the progress? I don't see shit. Well, looking is just the start. And are you really looking at yourself in a way that allows you to progress? And really, why is looking the start? If you don't know a problem like this, you can't really solve it. Let me give you an example. When I was younger, I used to play a lot of video games. Like, I played League of Legends. Probably played like 10 hours per day. Like every single day. School days, non-school days, weekends, whatever. I would start playing when it was bright and sunny outside. And basically, I'd play one game, I'd play another game. And eventually, I looked to the side and I was like, hey, it's like pitch dark outside. What happened? And I did this multiple times, and not a single time I had a second thought about it. It just like, oh, I was just really focused on the game or whatever, and I never realized it was a problem. But it is a problem because those like 10 hours straight, I didn't move, I didn't eat, I didn't do anything productive, so I basically just wasted my time. But I didn't know it was a problem, and since I didn't know it was a problem, there was basically nothing that I can do to fix it. No way I can improve otherwise. And I'm sure a lot of you like play video games out there are probably thinking like, oh yeah, what are you talking about? I just play for fun. I need to relax. Well, you just might not be seeing the problem. When it's bright outside and it becomes completely pitch dark and you don't even notice, that's a problem. You just can't see it. Another example, I used to wake up pretty much every day. I felt tired. I could barely wake up. Like my grandma or something would wake me up, or like wake up from an alarm. But when I went to school in like high school, it's quite a few years now since then, but basically everybody around me, it was quite normal. Everybody was tired. They always complained they're tired. Like pretty much every day you could go and somebody would say they're tired, and almost it was like a badge of honor to say you're tired. They were bragging about their tired. It's like, oh yeah, I only slept like 2 hours last night. Well, let me tell you that's a problem. It's really not good just because it's normal. So you need to see that, and that's when you begin to be able to improve. See things for what they are, rather than just kind of looking at them and not really paying attention, not really thinking about what it is, what are the real implications of what you're really seeing. So, look yourself introspectively. That's step one. And some of you are probably thinking like, oh, I really don't see shit. Like, I actually don't have any problems. I never have any problems. Are you really looking? Let me tell you a story. I thought I got my sleep down really well. I go to sleep at a set time. I can pretty much wake up myself. I get the amount of hours that I want. I usually feel rested. But just recently, I saw my brother looking at himself in the mirror. He was just kind of like eyes wide open and kind of looking back and forth. And I was like, whoa, what the hell are you doing? So I went over there and he said to me, remember when we were younger and our eyes had no red in them? They were just white? And I was like, well, what? And so I went over there and looked in the mirror as well, and I was like, oh, I took a look at my eye and I was like, oh shit, my eye is red as fuck. So all this time, I looked at myself in the mirror probably twice a day, and I never really noticed that my sleep wasn't really that good, or else my eyes wouldn't have been that red. And it makes sense because during that time, I wasn't getting the amount of hours I needed. So a problem could be really small. It can have a really small indication of what it really is, and you just have to keep your eyes open to really see them. So even if you don't think you have any problems, keep your eyes open. You could realize from the smallest of things. So now that you realize that there is a problem, what do you do with it? I think the next step is to basically just accept your problem. Because if you realize that there is a problem, like for example, if you notice that like, oh shit, like I'm actually kind of fat, like I got like a 3 inches flab on my gut, and then like 5 minutes later you're like, oh, that's fine, a lot of people are fat out there. Well, you're not really accepting the problem. You saw the problem, but you're sort of ignoring it. You're making excuses, saying like, oh, somebody else has that problem too, I don't really need to pay attention to it. So you need to accept like, oh, I play too much video games. I'm fat. I'm weak. Something. Because if you don't accept your problem and you just realize that it's there and ignore it, you're basically being complacent. You're being defeated by your problem, which stops you from improving. It keeps you where you are, and you don't want to do that. At least I don't think so. So if you're able to accept your problem, that's when you can begin to improve. So that's step 2. And now the next thing is, how do you fix it? Of course, once you looked at your problem, you basically you looked at your problem, you're able to accept it for what it is, put aside your egos, whatever, and forget about all your excuses. Now you need to be able to fix that problem. How do you actually do that? It's actually quite simple, and because your problem's probably not that unique. You've probably, somebody has had the same problem as you before, and they've solved it. So there's a couple of ways you can approach this. You can either just find somebody online that looks relatively like similar to you, has a very similar problem, and just look at what they did. If they say what they did, and simply just copy it and see if it works. That's approach 1. Another way you could do it is you really deeply research the problem. You look at every angle possible. Say for example, like, oh, I play too much video games. You're like, okay, well, why do I play video games? Why, what do I really get out of it? What games do I play? Why do I play it? When do I play it? Ask every single question possible for yourself. Do research online. Really understand the problem for what it is. And then think of a custom solution for yourself. I personally think just thinking about yourself is probably the best approach. You can, because then you can get a custom solution and then implement it right away, and you probably have a higher probability than just sort of trial and error based on whatever other people have done. But either way works. You can try both. But both require some work, require some thinking, and then you just got to do it. So the real basis of it, if you really boil it down to one single thing, is you think about your problem, then you go to solve it. And if it doesn't work, then you just do that same thing over and over again until you eventually solve your problem. That's step 3. And so, why does it really matter? Do you really need to improve? Why can't you just stay the way you are? Just relax, be happy, eat your ice cream, play your video games. What's so bad about that, right? Why does it really matter? What am I really improving for? Well, if you say you have a goal in life, you want to get to a certain monetary value, let's say, or you want to get to a certain status. So I want to be this rich. You have some sort of goal, and hopefully that goal is somewhere great. You have some sort of dreams that you potentially want to accomplish, and let's say you just put that on a graph. So you just have like a basic graph. Think of like this, and you just plot that goal somewhere, and then you can imagine your life if you didn't do any improvement. You just stayed where you are, played your games, whatever, and then you drew that line. It's probably like, oh, it goes up a little bit. You get you're just going through school, and then you go to college, whatever, go up a little bit, learn a bit more, and then once you pass that point and you just get a job, your life is probably just going to be flatlined, and then you're dead. But your goal's up here. You never got to your goal because you never improved. But say you take another scenario. You started to improve. Yeah, you didn't play the games. Yeah, you didn't really do anything. So you sort of just you're not really having that much quote unquote fun. So in the beginning, you're sort of just slowly chugging along, not really getting too much pleasure. But then you start to solve your problems. So you you get better and better and better and better and better. And that line, that trajectory of your life begins to be exponential, and you're able to reach your goals. And that's because, very simply, you're continuing to improve, getting better and better. And if you look at those two lines, so one's like this, and one's like this, and then your goal is somewhere over there, which life trajectory do you think can really reach your goals? If you think you can just sit there and do nothing and reach your goals, I mean, you can keep believing that, but it's not going to happen. Or you can begin to improve now. Yeah, it might not be that fun. Yeah, it takes time. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, you have to think. But over time, your life will get continuously better versus just the way it is forever. So which line will you choose? It might be fun just to sit there and play video games for like 10 hours a day, or watch Netflix, or like eat junk food, whatever you do to waste time. But that's easy. Anybody can pick up a video game, anybody can sit there and watch some show. Since when was anything worth having super easy to get? If it was super easy to get, then why doesn't everybody just have a great life? And another point is, I'm sure a lot of people, if you begin to try to improve, a lot of people are going to doubt you. Even if you're not trying to improve, probably right now, tons of people are doubting you. I know a lot of people doubt me. They say I can't do anything. But there's also some people that believe in my success. And to both those people, you have sort of a duty to improve yourself. For the people that doubt you, the best way to get back at them is being as successful as possible. Because think about it. Say like when you're at school and you're talking to your quote unquote friends, and you say like, oh, I want to make like $1 million one day, or you want to do something good, or like, oh, I'm gonna start working out, or I'm gonna like start eating healthier, and they say something like, oh yeah, why are you gonna do that? That's so dumb, or like, oh, you're never gonna do that. Well, if you start doing that, if you start to do it and you ignore all those people that doubt you, and you truly get better, and then they're sitting there all weak and fat, or wasting their time, have no money, but you have the money, you feel good, you look good, you're healthy. Imagine what they're thinking once they see that. It's a good reason in itself to improve. And for all those people that believed in you, I think that's quite simple. Like, if they believe in you, you should basically pay those people back by being as successful as possible. I don't think there could be any greater payback. Because a lot of people, like some people realize them to help them out or something, try to like give them gifts or like thank you. Well, that's all good and fine. Like, that's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I think the best thing you could possibly do for them is be successful as possible. Prove them right. And basically, your success will essentially be their success. You're proving them right. And I don't see how you can make them more happy by proving them correct and being successful as possible. So basically, the few reasons you start improving yourself is: 1, so you can actually reach your goals in life; 2, you can prove all those doubters wrong; and 3, you can prove all the believers correct. And now, the question is, does it even matter? What do you, in the end, does it really matter? Should you still really improve yourself? Because even if you do, and you hit all those things, you hit your goals, you prove the people wrong, you prove the people right, does it really matter in the end? And I think a good way to think about it is, if you think of problems as potential, and then the solutions that you come up to the problems as realized potential. So you essentially have potential and then actual improvement. You have the problem, And then once you solve it, you actually improve. And throughout your life, as you continue to solve problems, I think in the beginning your problems are relatively basic, like, oh, maybe I'm weak, so you start to work out. Like that, it's probably one of the simpler things. You're like, oh, I'm not eating that great, so you just start to eat healthier. Maybe like don't eat chips anymore or something like that. No more junk food. Those are the more simple problems. So as you solve those, you look at yourself more and you look for more problems, because you basically always have problems. Or in other words, potential or opportunities to actually improve. You'll begin to see more and more complex problems as you solve more problems. And with those complex problems, you have more and more complex solutions. So essentially, you'll have increasingly more improvement as you solve more and more of your problems. So that's why if you take a look at that, like think about your life trajectory, if you're really working on improving yourself, it starts to be exponential. Yeah, it's really slow at the start, but then one of those days you'll just rock it up. A way to think about it, I think maybe a lot of you played video games before, or play them right now. You can think of it like this. Like, you start to play a game, you're in like the noob zone, and you're fighting like weak mobs, or you eventually like fight the weak boss and you get the gear. Like, that boss is essentially the problem, and then like the loot that you're getting from the boss is like the solution. And then you move on to the higher level zone, you fight the boss, you get the gear, you fight the boss, you get the gear, and that continues to go on and on. And these bosses, like these boss mobs, these stronger mobs, getting continually stronger and stronger. Something that you could never achieve before. But now that you did do it, now you got that loot, you got that improvement, and now you're in a place that like you're super high level, you're super strong, versus where you were. Yeah, in the beginning, like it might be like a slow grind, but eventually you'll get there. So see the opportunities, find the potential, and realize it. And your life gets exponentially better. And who doesn't want that? And I know it matters to you, since for whatever reason, maybe in the back of your mind, or like the thumbnail was clickbait or something like that, something caught your attention. For some reason you clicked on this video because you want to improve somehow. So really, improving yourself, or self-improvement, in my mind, or the way I put it, is three things. You find your problems, you look at yourself, you see the problems, you find them. Then you really accept the problems for what they are. Forget your ego, put all your dumb thoughts away. Then you really think about that problem, and then think about the solution, and then just do it. And you keep going through that cycle. That's when you keep on improving. And I know you want to improve, so you really get value out of this video. Right now, like, actually get a piece of paper and write down one problem. I'm sure you can think of a lot, but just write down one. Whatever problem comes first to your mind. You can get a piece of paper, you can type it on a sticky note on your desktop, or like comment it below, or whatever you want to do. And sort of like by writing that problem, you're accepting it right now. And then right after this video, I want you to think about it, think about a solution, and then just go do it. This will get you started on the path to self-improvement. And one day I'm sure you'll be sitting there and thinking about all the things you've done, thinking about your life. You'll look back and think, hey, I've done pretty good.